What's this? AlbyMTG back in your YouTube subscription box? Probably not, YouTube's broken, but I am here making another video. I have been very, very busy with schoolwork over the past 2-3 weeks, and so it has led to me not being able to upload as many videos as I would have liked to. I just want to talk about cardboard, and unfortunately the school system is not letting me talk about cardboard because they give me a bunch of projects and things to get done towards the end of the semester. However, with that being said, there will be more videos to come as soon as the semester is done. I'm going to jam out so many videos, going to do the streaming over on Twitch, which is going to be a bunch of fun, and you'll even see an increase in quality of the videos as well, which I'm sure is something that many of you are surprised to hear me say, considering how long my quality has been garbage. But you'll get to see. You'll get to see. So with that being said, I'm here with my beautiful sponsor today, Cardsphere. We're going to be doing the draft bot that they have, where it's a draft simulator. So they're going to make up these random packs of War of the Spark, and we're going to go through it as if we were doing an actual draft. I've done, I believe, 3 of these so far in my own time, in between my classes today to kind of get ready for this video. I'm quite excited for it to see what we get here for the first draft here on camera. And this one is also a little bit special because I did have some influence towards some of the rankings for these limited cards here on Cardsphere. As each card was being previewed, there was an Excel spreadsheet for some of the people, like Lords of Limited, the podcast, all the other guys at Cardsphere, and then myself as well. We were putting in our rankings to help make the draft simulator the best it could be, and so some of these have some ratings from myself, which is kind of cool. And we're gonna go ahead and get started here, and hopefully we'll have a fun little first pick. So here you can see that this Karn is $10. However, Karn is probably the worst card in the set for limited. This ability does basically nothing. It maybe could stop, it stops Firemind Vessel, I guess. It's an activated ability here to tap these to add 2 mana of different colors, but aside from that, it doesn't really do anything. The other abilities don't do anything, so we will not be we will not be taking this Karn, the Great Creator. However, $10 is pretty tempting, but for the sake of this video, we will certainly not be taking it. So where my head is at right now is I'm looking towards Eternal Skylord or Firemind Vessel. I think those are by far the best 2 cards here, and we don't have any crazy commons. We've got some reasonable ones, but again, nothing too crazy. So it's between Eternal Skylord and the Firemind Vessel. I kind of like the Eternal Skylord. You're getting 5 power and 5 toughness, 2 of which might have flying, or if you've already had some other random mass shenanigans happening, you could get even more than 2 of it with flying. So I think I'm going to go ahead and start out here with this Eternal Skylord as my first pick for this draft. Next up, we have another chance at a Firemind Vessel, but we do actually have something that I'm looking at significantly more. There are a bunch of very solid commons and uncommons here. Actually, the uncommons here aren't great. Teo's not great. Bond is okay, but not great. Firemind's Vessel again is fine. But the commons pretty reasonable. But the common that's definitely the most reasonable would be this Aven Eternal here. I do like that Giant Growth is back in the format. If at any point during your pre-release you are a green deck and you choose to make some attack, just leave 1 green open so that they feel like they have to play around Giant Growth if you're playing against, some players who might have some experience. And you want to, take them down. A great way to do that would be to bluff some Giant Growths against them. Pollenbright Druid's a decent little blue card here as well, but Aven Eternal is just by far the best. Not only the best card in the pack, but the best blue card in the pack, which kind of goes with our first pick being a blue card as well. So the Aven Eternal, very easy pickup here for me. We've got a Jace here. Okay, so we've got an Uncolor Planeswalker, which is nice. So Jace, 4 mana, 4 loyalty. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, you win the game instead. Target player puts the top 2 cards of their library into their graveyard, draw a card, and then draw 7 cards. Then if your library has no cards in it, you win the game. So what I'm seeing here is there are basically 4 cards that I like in this pack. The first one is Jace, second one is Jaya's Greeting, third one is Trusted Pegasus, fourth one is Heartfire. So then it's just a matter of whether I think Jaya's Greeting, Trusted Pegasus, and Heartfire are enough for me to go into a second color at this point. and I don't think they are. The red spells are very good removal spells, and this might be a signal that these red cards might be open, and maybe we're supposed to go into blue-red, but I think Jace also being in the pack is also pretty much a good enough signal to say that blue is an open color. Right now it looks like black is not open and green is not open, based off of the cards that we're seeing here. So I'm going to stay in my route here. I'm just going to remain blue, and we'll pick up a Jace. Um, that's a decent little uncommon here as well, Domri's Ambush, but again, goes nowhere with what we just did with our other picks. I like the Invading Manicore. I'm normally not a big fan of these giant red creatures in Limited, but I think Invading Manicore is actually like the closest we've had to a pretty reasonable one. I also like Herald of the Dreadhorde, but I don't think Herald of the Dreadhorde is enough to go into the second color either. So it might just be something like the Kiora's Dambreaker. However, I feel like we can probably pick these up later. I also kind of like the Arboreal Grazer. For this deck, we could possibly be like the blue-green sort of ramp deck and then just try and win the game with some bigger stuff. I don't hate that strategy. That's something that we could definitely think about doing. So I don't mind picking up Arboreal Grazer. I think that's something that a lot of people would not necessarily do. I think I have Arboreal Grazer rated a little bit higher than most people do, but I think 3 toughness is fairly reasonable for these smaller creatures. A lot of the removal in the format does 3 damage, so for some of these other spells, like if they want to waste a 2 mana spell to deal 3 damage to the Arboreal Grazer, you're in a fantastic spot because that means they're not using it then on a different card, and it does help you ramp out quite early as well. Actually, this pick is kind of interesting. Like, I don't think Arboreal Grazer is enough to go into a different color though. I don't feel like I'm going to play like any of these cards. Maybe we just pick up Totally Lost or Kiora's Dambreaker and just keep going with this mono blue plan. I think that could be okay. I'm going to go ahead and pick up the, I think, Dambreaker instead of the Totally Lost. Gives us just kind of a big creature to finish the game off if necessary, and the Proliferate could work well with some of our Planeswalkers that we have already. Challenger Troll is a card that I think is pretty good as well. Actually, now that we're looking at some of these green cards here are pretty good. The Ceratok is good, the Challenger Troll is good. Iron Bully could let us stay open a little bit, but I think these are enough of a signal to say that maybe blue-green is where we're supposed to be at. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up the Challenger Troll, and maybe we can look forward to being blue-green. So then for this pack, again, there's nothing really good in this pack, so it's between Crawl Stinger and Fibblethip the Lost here. I think a lot of people are underrating Fibblethip because they feel like they can't get 2 cards from it like ever. I also feel like you can't get 2 cards from it ever, but it's also just a blue Elvish Visionary. That seems perfectly fine to me. A 1/1 that can replace itself, do a little bit of chump blocking to keep you alive longer in the game, I think is perfectly fine. So I actually don't mind picking up Fibblethip here. Again, that might be something that someone might disagree with. Should potentially pick the Crawl Stinger instead, which is fine too, because blue-green doesn't really have a ton of removal, so the Death Touch here could be pretty nice. But I think we're more likely to find another Crawl Stinger later on in the draft than we are for the Elvish Visionary, and I just like cards that replace themselves, so I'm going to go ahead and pick up Fibblethip for the curve. Oh my gosh, that's another Aven Eternal. This is the easiest Aven Eternal of my life. Death Sprout is pretty good if you're in green-black, and Bloom Hulk I actually think is pretty good too. 4 mana 4/4 seems like it's just going to be a good-sized body in this format from what I've seen, but I can't say no to another Aven Eternal. This is a very easy pickup. I'm not a big fan of Godpharaoh's statue. I think it's okay, but I don't like the idea of my 6 mana spells doing nothing to impact the board. I think that that's kind of not good. So I feel like this one's mainly between Arlen's Wolf, Stealth Mission, New Horizons. And we've picked up a couple of Proliferate cards, so I think New Horizons is actually fine in this format compared to what it normally is. So I think I'm going to go ahead and pick up the New Horizons. This potentially could let us splash later on as well if we pick up something decent in these next couple of packs. This one's between Prismite and Firemine Vessel. Again, both are like fine, but not crazy. I guess we'll pick up the Firemine Vessel. Maybe if we end up again, doing some sort of a splash. This could be a fine card for us to splash. The second one, though, I'm not going to take because Pollen Bright Druid is just infinitely better than Firemind Vessel for our deck. I think Pollen Bright Druid is quite good. Saheeli Silverwing is also like a fine card, but I think that since we're already in blue-green, we would probably have taken the Thunder Drake over the Silverwing, but again, Pollen Bright Druid is just better than both of those, so we'll grab that. Here we're not going to play any of these cards. We'll just grab this card because it's what we're most likely to lose to if we were to play it in a real draft. Here, again, Herald of the Dreadhorde still being in the pack might be a little bit of a sign for black, but we didn't see a ton of other black stuff. I think here it's just clearly the Centaur Nurturer. We'll pick up a Stone Blades, Steady Aim for the sideboard, and a Swamp. Alright, so here we have Sorin is our rare, and our Planeswalker in the pack, which is pretty good. Nothing else is too crazy, so I think it might just be Merfolk Skydiver for us. I don't think Sorin's worth splashing 2 colors for, so I think I'm just going to pick up the Skydiver. It works pretty well for our mana curve, again with this Proliferate shenanigans and these +1/+1 counters. Could be a decent little card for us, so going to pick up the Skydiver. Teferi is an interesting one, again, along with Eternal Skylord again. We could pick up our second Eternal Skylord, or we could splash this Teferi potentially. Again, for $16 in real life, you're probably picking the Teferi. You're probably not even getting past this Teferi, but I'm going to go ahead and pick up the Skylord. Again, we're going to have a little bit of ramp, so these 5-drops could be fine in our deck, and I think this is one of the better uncommon 5-drops, so we'll go ahead and pick that up. So Primordial Worm was a card that I originally thought was going to be really bad, like it normally is. But 6 toughness is really relevant in the format. Not relevant enough that you'll want to play something bad like a Bulwark Giant, but relevant enough that for Primordial Worm it's good. The best removal spell in the format deals 5, so, or I guess is -5, -5. So the fact that it lives through that is actually pretty important for the format. And so I think the big keys that you're looking at are 4 toughness and 6 toughness, because those live through the good 2-mana removal spells and then the good 3-mana removal spells. So I think Primordial Worm is actually fine. However, I feel like we could probably pick it up a little bit later. So maybe we go with something like Lazotep Plating or Kasmina's Transmutation. Lazotep Plating's fine. I actually kind of like Transmutation. I like it better in blue-red because you have the like smaller stuff that you can just deal with the 1/1s really quickly, but I like that this loses all abilities, which is nice. It's a very good answer to some of the god cards like Ronis, Kefnet, Bonsu, Ilharg, and Oketra. That's the last one I was forgetting. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up the Transmutation as just a hedge of not wanting to lose to some of these god cards. Kaya is pretty good, and there's the Ob Nixilis' Cruelty that we were talking about a little bit earlier. And actually, I don't hate picking up the Cruelty. It gives us at least some sort of a removal spell that we can play, and there are 0 other green-blue cards in the pack. So I like Kaya, I like Ob Nixilis' Cruelty, I even like Tidebearer Giant. Again, like I said earlier when I picked Fibblethip, I'm a big fan of cards that replace themselves. But I think I'm going to pick up Cruelty, and maybe we'll think about splashing it. Here we have some cards that are actually in our colors. Again, I talked about how I like Bloom Hulk. It has that 4 toughness that I think is going to be crucial for the format. Teferi's Time Twist is a card that I like quite a bit as well, and I actually think Guild Globe might be the most... This is my sleeper pick for the set. It looks like it does absolutely nothing, but if we can think back to like Kaladesh Limited, there were so many people that were first picking Prophetic Prisms, and I think Guild Globe has the potential to maybe just be the same way. It keeps you open, and so you can kind of see what other people around you are doing, and can keep you open again, like I said. So also gives you the ability to splash as well. So I think Guild Globe might actually just end up being a sleeper pick for like a really solid card. Again, like I said, it doesn't do a ton, but in terms of the game, I think you'll want to play one in your deck if you have the ability to, and just a 2-mana replace itself kind of card is perfectly fine, as we've seen in the past with things like Prophetic Prism during Kaladesh and Aether Revolt Unlimited. But going back to the pick that we actually have here, again, like I said, I do like Teferi's Time Twist, but I think Bloom Hulk is probably more of what we're going for here. I do like the synergy, though, with Teferi's Time Twist in blue-green, where If it enters the battlefield as a creature, it enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. If we did Teferi's Time Twist on something like a Bloom Hulk, then it comes in with that +1/+1 counter, and then we also get to proliferate afterwards, so then we can put another counter on it, and suddenly we have the Teferi's Time Twist giving us a 6/6 along with, you know, whatever other stuff we can proliferate. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up the Bloom Hulk here. Maybe we wheel the Time Twist, but I kind of doubt it. If we wheel the Gold Globe, I also think that'd be fine. Mana Geode is not great. Rest of this pack is just not great in general. Rouse Outburst is the kind of card that we could splash too. This gives us the option of whether we want to splash black, whether we want to splash blue. Or whether we want to splash black or whether we want to splash red. I don't think we want to splash both. But I think I will pick up the Outburst, and we'll see what else we can pick up. Narcissus Reversal is like fine. It's not great, but it's okay. There's like nothing else in the pack that's like any good though, so I guess we'll pick up the Reversal. That card should not be in the pack. We're splashing black there. that just sealed it for us. We're definitely splashing black for Enter the God Eternals and for Ob Nixilis' Cruelty. This card is so good. Deals 4 damage to target creature. You gain life equal to the damage dealt this way. Target player puts the top 4 cards of their library into their graveyard, amass 4. So essentially what you're doing here is you're killing off a creature, you're gaining some life, milling them for 4, which doesn't really do anything. Maybe you even want to mill yourself for 4 if you have some ways to bring stuff back from the graveyard. And then the amass 4 means you're getting a 4/4 body with this. So if you compare this to something like a Flame Tongue Kavu that we've seen in the past, this card is just incredible and should not be in the pack this late. Tells me there's no one else in blue-black. Again, we're going to be splashing the black, which is going to be fine for us because it only has one black symbol in it, but I think it's a very, very easy pickup for us here. So then we have the Nurturer, or we could pick up a Nagi Eternal. I think just for mana curve purposes, we'll pick up Nagi Eternal. I don't think we would play any of these. These cards are all, like, not great. I'll pick up the Emergent Zone, I guess. That could be fine. This is the only card in our colors, so we'll pick it up. We're not going to play any of these cards, so I guess in real life, the card we would hate to play against the most is probably just this. We'll pick up a Totally Lost. We'll get ourselves a Foil Mana Fixer and a Swamp. Alright, so we have Karn's Bastion, which is great. Kasmina is also quite good. New Horizons, Teferi's Time Twist. So yeah, I think it comes down to these two. I don't think Time Twist. I really like Time Twist, but I don't think it's good enough for us to pass on Bastion or Kasmina. If we play Bastion, we're definitely not playing the Emergence Zone that we picked. I like to have one land utility slot, and I think it would either be the Bastion or the other one. I do kind of like this card. I think it's pretty good. Bastion just goes in like whatever though. I think since we are kind of just like the blue-green proliferate deck, I think I am just going to go with Bastion. Gives us a decent little mana sink later on, so something that we can do every turn with our excess mana if we're top decking lands later on in the game. This could be wrong because again, Kasmina is really solid. Allows you to loot and do some creature creation while sort of protecting your creatures by making them cost a little more for their removal spells. But I think I'm going to pick up the Bastion. Nothing here is great. Could be Guild Globe, could be Callous Dismissal. Epiphany is fine, but again, 4 mana cards that don't impact the board are just, I don't know, I don't really like them that much. Pollenbright Druid again could be fine too. I think I'm going to go ahead with the Callous Dismissal, just a little bit more interaction, so I'll pick that up. So Ashiok is kind of interesting as well for us. The Dreadhorde Twins I think is a very good card as well. If we were in red, we would be picking this, but this one clearly comes down to either another Ceratok, Snare Spinner, or the Ashiok. I'm leaning towards Ashiok, and here's why. We might actually be able to put together a secondary win condition for this deck, which is the Ashiok and Jace. Jace gives us the ability to win the game if we have 0 cards in our library, or also could mill our opponents if we don't want to rely on milling ourselves out and we just want to mill out our opponents. Ashiok and Jace are ways for us to mill our opponents out if we can maybe pick up some other sort of card, or I guess the other rare in our deck, the Enter the God Eternals. That one also mills our opponent for 4. And when you're talking about a limited deck, which is only 40 cards, milling 4 cards is a tenth of that entire library. They also pick up 7 cards to start off the game, so they're also down to like 33 cards just to start. So I kind of think we could put together a secondary win condition of milling out our opponents, even if we have to just gum up the board with some of these like bigger green creatures and then just proliferate and eventually mill out our opponents. I think that's something we could potentially do, and so I'm going to go ahead and pick up this Ashiok. Here there's nothing too crazy. I think this is probably a Crawl Stinger. It's either Pollen Bright Druid or Crawl Stinger. I'm gonna go ahead and pick up the Crawl Stinger here. Another Merfolk Skydiver is actually pretty good for us. It's between Skydiver, Druid, and Snare Spinner. I'd like to have like one Snare Spinner at least for the sideboard, but I think here it's just the second Skydiver works pretty well for our curve. I did say I wanted to pick up a spinner, but again, some more interaction could be very nice for us, as well as the Primordial Worm being a bigger creature. I think I'm going to go with the Dismissal. I don't like the Dismissal as a sorcery, but in blue-green you just don't have a ton of interaction, so I feel like we kind of need to pick up the interaction where we can. If we're looking for this defensive plan of just trying to, sit behind a wall sort of thing, make our opponents just come up the board, make our opponent's day miserable, and then eventually mill them out. Wall of Runes could be reasonable for us for this specific deck. Erratic Visionary is also fine. Has a little bit of a butt here that we could potentially do some blocking of some 2/2s and other things like that. So I think that makes it a little bit better than the Wall of Runes for us, even though it has less toughness. The ability here is better than the ability over here. So we'll go ahead and pick up the Erratic Visionary. Here we have Drake, Prismite, Eternal. Again, I'm not sure what our mana curve looks like too much at this point. Prismite could be, again, just like fine. It's not great. We could also pick up Nagi Eternal again, as knowing that we're just going to trade it off. That could be a reasonable option too. I think I'm going to go with the Prismite here. Again, nothing too crazy here out of any of these packs. The Spellkeeper Weird could actually be fine for us. We have some very strong instants and sorceries, and so I don't mind picking up one of these weirds here. I'm not really a huge fan of this card. I think the red one is actually a little bit better for my kind of playstyle, at least, but I think here the weird is the pick. We could pick up an Emergent Zone. I'm going to go with the Globe. Here, none of these cards are great. We'll grab Stone Blades. We'll pick up Foil Rouse Outburst, a Sky Theater Strix, Steady Aim for the side, and a Mountain. And now we can go ahead and put together this deck. So we'll start off by removing all of these non-green blue cards and also or keeping in the like Cruelty. We can also remove the Steady Aim too, because we're not going to play that. That'll be more of a sideboard card. Outburst can go. We picked up Bastion, right? Yeah, so the Emergent Zone can go. I think Mana Geode is bad enough that that can go. Light Shield can go. Swamp will remove. What else is here? This can go. This can go. We're probably not playing this card, so that can go. That can go. That can go. And we're looking at 31 cards now. So here you can see we're at 17 creatures, 4 sorceries, 3 instants. You can see a little bit of our mana curve over here as well. It looks pretty reasonable for a mana curve, but again, we're going to slowly change that here as we put together some of these cards. So what's the first card we want to cut? Probably this Relentless Advance. This card's not that good. It's fine, but not great, so I'm fine cutting that. How many totally lost do we have? Just one. Okay, one is fine. Nurturer is not great. If we have multiple Nurturers, I'd rather not play multiple. So what do we have for the mana fixing then? We have Globe, Prismite, Globe, Prismite, Nurturer, Vessel, New Horizons. That's too much. So I'm fine dropping Prismite. We have other 2 drops that are better, and we can probably drop another one, maybe the Nurturer. I Triple blue is also going to be like fairly difficult for Jace too, now that I'm looking at that again, but I think it'll be okay if we lean more towards blue with our sources. Maybe this Nagi Eternal as well, or actually, we have a lot of 5-drops. I'm gonna get rid of the Totally Lost. 4 5-drops and 1 6-drop. This card's fine, I guess. What are some of our 4-drops that we have? Also, how often is this gonna happen? Twice, I think? Or no, we have like proliferate stuff, so probably more than twice. Could be Firemind Vessel, too. Just doesn't impact the board. If we play like the Centaur Nurturer for mana fixing, at least it impacts the board, putting down a potential blocker and gaining us some life, which is, I guess, sort of relevant. So we can get rid of that. We have, so 27, one of which is a land. So 26 is what we're at right now. So we have 3 more cuts to make. And then once we make these cuts, we can also go ahead and check what all of these other bots have chosen to do with their drafts. Double blue on 2 might be difficult. I guess we don't necessarily need to cast this on turn 2, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not huge on this card. It's like fine. Maybe we don't even need like this giant thing either. Maybe our 5-drops are just good enough, but I feel like we have a little bit of ramp, so I kind of don't mind just playing one giant 6-drop for later on in the game. I like our Black Splash. What about 3-drops? We have 8 3-drops. I think our worst 3-drop is probably just this 3-2, so I think we're gonna drop the 3-2. Yeah, we'll drop that. Now we have 2 more cuts to make. Can I sort these by CMC? Yeah, okay. So at the 2-drops, we have all of this stuff. Worst of these 2-drops, again, I think might just be the reversal. Card's fine and gives us a little bit more interaction, but having double blue is super awkward for us. I mean, it's not super awkward. Like, we're gonna have triple blue for Jace, so I guess it's not as bad as I'm making it out to be. Maybe we can drop one of these dismissals. For interaction, we would have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of interaction if we cut one. It's not a lot of interaction. These are like the really hard ones here. Determining what we're supposed to cut from these. I think we'll cut 1. I mean, this is a way for us to reset our planeswalkers too, which isn't like nothing. Like, worst comes to worst, we can return Guild Globe and then just pay 4 mana to make a 1/1 and draw a card if things are like really bad. Maybe it's this thing. I don't really like this guy. He's like okay, but I'm not big on him. He's a decent mana sink though, I guess. Yeah, he could be worse. Okay, we'll drop 1 dismissal. And what else? Is our deck good enough that we can drop Ashiok and remove the mill plan? Maybe. Can do this, get in with some amass tokens, have a couple of big beaters. Then Jace just kind of a value engine. Our other mill cards being nothing. Just Chase, Ashiok, enter. Maybe we give up on the secondary mill dream. Maybe we can bring it in like as sideboard tech or something like that against removal heavy decks. We can bring that in when they're not expecting it, and then when they're trying to make the game go long and we're trying to make the game go long, then we just have a little bit of an advantage being able to mill them out. So I think this is reasonable enough. It says 24 cards, but remember we do have one land in here already. And so for lands, we're probably looking at 2 swamps, which puts us to 26. And then we could go 7/7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. A million. Okay, so yeah, we need more blue sources than we do green sources. So then we could make it. Actually, do we even need to run 2 swamps? We might only need 1. 1 black source, 2 black source, 3 black source. Okay, yeah, we only need 1 swamp. 1 swamp, 7 forests. No, 1 swamp, 6 forests, 7, 8, and then 9 islands. 1 swamp. No, that doesn't work either. Has to be 8. 1 swamp, 7 forest is 8. This would be 9 and it would be 8. Okay, final verdict. 1 Cardin's Bastion, 1 swamp, 9 islands, so we're at 11 there, and then finally 6 green sources would be the deck here. That would be what I would go with. 6 green sources, again, might be a little low, but we definitely need the blue more than we need the other stuff. And the blue can also give us a little bit of access to card draw, like Fibblethip, Visionary, that can help us draw into some of our green sources. I could definitely see the argument too for dropping 1 blue source and going up an additional forest. But yeah, I think that's what I would do here. Quickly, we'll go around to the bots and see what the bots managed to put together. We'll save my bot for last here. We'll go with Ben here, who looks like some black-red, pretty nice. Double Angrath's Revenge seems pretty sweet. Davrio, which is a card that I'm excited to try out in 8 racks. Sarkin, that's a pretty decent little pickup there as well. For Ethan, Ethan's rocking Triple Teferi's Time Twist. I love it. Triple Teferi's Time Twist on double Agrivolus and Teferi himself. Yep. This deck seems sweet. Double Elite Guard Mage with triple Teferis. Okay, yep. This that's pretty hot. I'm not gonna lie. That's quite good. All right, this is all over the place. I want to say black green. We've got Death Sprout, Mowu, Leyline. Yeah, I want to say black green. Maybe just like the first few random picks in here didn't really go his way, but then settled into black green. That would be my guess here for Jeff. John, we're looking at black white with quad trusted Pegasus. Okay. And Gideon Blackblade and Sorin. Okay, yep, that's quite a decent little deck there as well. Prison Realm is solid here. Obnixilus's Cruelty for some removal. Yep, that deck looks pretty sweet there too. Lucas put together what looks to be green-black with Storev and a Death Sprout. Okay. Picked up Ilharg, but unfortunately has to either choose to splash it or not play it. Probably just chooses to not play it. Doesn't look like there's a ton of mana fixing for him outside of the New Horizons and I guess maybe the Centaur Nurturers. I don't know, it's kind of a risky splash there, but it looks like black-green for Lucas. For Pixie, we are looking at what appears to be red-green aggro. Yep. Just some red-green aggro here from Pixie. Looks like a pretty decent little strategy. I'd like to see more giant growths in an aggressive deck like this, but triple Stone Blades and this 3-drop is really good for the aggressive decks as well. Chandra's nice. And of course, Awakening of V2 Ghazi is quite strong as well. If you guys haven't seen Rhino's preview video, Rhino MTG Young Mage got to preview Awakening of V2 Ghazi, and I was actually in his preview video to preview this card. So if you guys haven't seen that, go ahead and check that out. That was a lot of fun to make. Got to just send him a quick little video clip to be part of his preview card video, which is super cool. For my bot, I ended up in... What did I do? Why did I end up with a Karn? Karn's bad. Real bad. Obviously, my bot is willing to try and make this artifacts deck work in in this draft format, but I am not. I don't even know what this is. This is like green. I think it's supposed to be green-red, and then there's just like a splash of white, but I think overall he's green-red. Double Demolish. Man, my bot is dumb. Double Defiant Strike. Yeah, this deck is bad. My bot's not very good. However, I think our deck ended up pretty good, so that's pretty sweet. If you guys did enjoy the video, be sure to click the like button. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, and because, again, YouTube is broken, I need you guys to click the bell button, because according to YouTube's new policy, just because you're subscribed to someone doesn't mean that you're going to show up in their sub box. However, if you do click the notification button, it guarantees that you're going to show up in the sub box. So if you guys enjoy my videos, be sure to click the bell button. That's like the only way to guarantee you're actually going to see my videos, which is disappointing, but again, would be pretty cool for you guys to hit the bell button if you guys do enjoy my work. Be sure to check out Cardsphere as well. They're a fantastic sponsor to work with, and of course they have this this draft here that you guys can go ahead and check out. Nice and simple. When you go to the Cardsphere website, let's go to just like regular cardsphere.com. Okay, so we're here on regular Cardsphere. We go ahead here to Explore, and the Explorer will bring down the drafts option there, and then you can go ahead and here. You can go ahead and do all these other sets if you want to. You want to throw it back to Lorwyn, you can throw it back to Lorwyn, but of course people are getting ready for War of the Spark, so that's the important one. Again, go ahead and try that out over on cardsphere.com. Send me some pictures of your drafts if you have any questions about what you should take for certain packs from your draft simulations over here on Cardsphere. Just send me some pictures and we'll talk about some Magic, which should be a lot of fun. Again, thank you so much for watching the video, and I will see you guys here next time. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. I want to say sorry to my patrons for not being able to produce as much content as I would have liked to this month. Again, like I said, I'm going to make it up to you guys for next month. We're going to have a lot more content coming out. So again, patrons, I'm very sorry. Regular viewers, I'm sorry to you as well. So at the end of each of my videos, I'd love to say thank you to my patrons over on the Patreon page. So Jeremy, Rodrigo, BattleWolfMTG, and Down Under MTG want to say thank you to you guys for being absolutely incredible. And I'll see you guys here next time.